everyone and welcome to Rulebreaker. Today we're going to show you how to play as the Ghosts of Creuss in Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Thematically these guys are pretty cool. They're like these nebulous gas dudes in crazy suits that can fly through wormholes at great speed. They're a really interesting race, but they are a very difficult race to win with and grok. Let's take a look at how you get started as them. Okay, so let's take a look at the starting technology. You've only got one as the Ghost of Creuss, which is the gravity drive. This one is a blue technology that usually requires prereq, and it reads, after you activate a system, apply +1 to the move value of one of your ships during this tactical action. Let's just take a look at that on the board. Alright, so you've got your gravity drive technology. This means that if you activate a system, you can add +1 move to one ship. So let's say we wanted to activate this system here. Your carrier with a move of 1 can fly in as normal, like so, carrying some guys with it. Your destroyer has a move of 2, so that could make it as well, as standard. These dreadnoughts only have a move of 1 though, so this guy can get the gravity drive bonus and join the fleet, but this guy, he can't go. He's not able to move halfway because that's not the system that's being activated. He just has to stick around. But this gravity drive has allowed you to take the dreadnought with you. So along with gravity drive you have some starting units. You've got a carrier. There's this guy here. You got 2 destroyers, which is quite unusual. There they are. You got 2 fighters. There's these small little guys here, usually for taking hits. You've got 4 infantry, which are your ground forces, your units that will conquer planets, and you've got a space dock for building more stuff. Now, something unique about the Ghosts of Creuss is their home system. It's this cool vortex looking off hexagon shape here, and it doesn't connect to the rest of the board here. Instead, Creuss, the home world, is sort of off the board, and it's joined by this D wormhole between these 2 hexes. And this hex here takes the place of where the home system would in the map layout. You're actually going to have your starting forces here off the board, which is unique to the game. No other race has this going on. I guess this is kind of why you start with the gravity drive technology, allowing you to fly that bit further. It gives you the chance to take your carrier with your units and fly 1 extra space to a planet, giving you something to conquer in the first round. It also acts as a buffer for someone trying to take your home system to stop you from scoring points. They've got to fly that 1 extra hex. You can have defenses here and defenses there. There are no planets in this system. It's just like a fancy graphic for the wormhole, and your home system of Creuss with the 4-2 planet, 4 resources, 2 influence, is a pretty good starting planet. That means that you're going to have a production capacity of 6 with the card there, so you'll be able to build up to 6 units in your home system, bearing in mind that they're going to take a little while to get out and get onto the board as well. Alright, this is the front of your race sheet as Ghosts of Creuss. You've got your troops here. There's no unique troops really for these guys aside from the flagship, which we'll talk about soon, and they do have 3 special abilities. Let's take a look at these in detail now. The first one is Quantum Entanglement. You treat all systems that contain either an alpha or beta wormhole as adjacent to each other. Game effects cannot prevent you from using this ability. Let's take a look at that on the board as well now. Alright, just quickly take a look at this. Normally an A wormhole is adjacent to another A wormhole, so with a move of 1 you could just fly from the A straight to the other A. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be the other side of the table for all I know. And that would be valid. And what the ghosts can do is they can activate an A and a B adjacent to each other, so you can fly between those. No other races can't do that. They have to stick to the letters, whereas ghosts can go from A to B and B to A. Pretty good, a bit more maneuverability. Hopefully the wormholes are in places that are tactically useful for you. Their second ability is Slipstream. During your tactical actions, apply +1 to the move value of each of your ships that starts its movement in your home system or in a system that contains either an alpha or beta wormhole. Yeah, so remember we talked about this home system being off the board. Essentially that ability Slipstream means that anything coming out of here gets +1 movement anyway. And their third ability is the Creuss Gate. When you create the game board, place the Creuss Gate, tile number 17, where your home system would normally be placed. The Creuss Gate system is not a home system. Then place your home system, tile 51, in your play area. So I've already explained that. This is the Creuss Gate here. This is the one that goes into the board, and this weird vortexy one is your home system, as I showed you a moment ago. So that's all that text really means. It just confirms that. As the ghosts, you have a commodity of number of 4, which is pretty good. During the trade phase, you'll be able to switch these with other players as trade goods. Make some deals, make some friends. That's a pretty good idea as the ghosts. So 4 is a nice number to bargain with. It's pretty decent. You've also got flagship called the Hill Kalish. Let's take a closer look at this. So this big old unit here is your flagship. It's the Hill Kalish. It has a cost of 8. It only hits once, but with a 5. It's a bit unusual for a flagship that it only hits once on a hit. It has a move of 1 and a very small capacity of 3. It does have sustained damage like all the other big ships, which means if you take a hit you can turn it upside down, which is kind of like having an extra life. The ship's not destroyed, but another hit after that would take it away. And it has the ability, this ship's system contains a delta wormhole. During movement, this ship may move before or after your other ships. So the delta wormhole is the same as the one in your Creuss Gate and home system. This one here. So it's effectively what the Nil Kalish flagship is like a conduit between your home system, the Creuss Gate, and itself. It's there really to allow you to move your units from your home system to anywhere you like that has this guy in it. So think of it as being like a mobile wormhole that you can use to ambush other players. The ghosts have their own promissory note just like everybody else. Theirs is called Creuss IFF. So if you want to do a deal with somebody, you want something really badly off them, you can give them this power. They'll have something over you. And it reads, at the start of your turn, during the action phase, place or move a Creuss wormhole token into either a system that contains a planet you control or a non-home system that does not contain another player's ships. Then return this card to the Creuss player. This promissory note pertains to these special tokens that the Creuss player has at the start of the game. They're essentially to do with their racial technology. This promissory note is going to let another player move them on you, so be aware of how versatile that can be for you, and if it's something that you want to bargain away or not. It might be worth it, it might not. Totally depends on the context of the game, but that's what this is for. Let's just go into a bit more detail on the racial texts, which will explain these a bit better. So the Creuss have 2 racial texts, like most people. They have these wormhole generator and the dimensional splicer. Okay, so the wormhole generator, it's a blue technology. It has 2 blue tech requirement prerequisites here. You've already got one at the start, your gravity drive, so if you build another one you'll be able to get to this one. And I recommend you do as Creuss. Your mobility is your key, and this is a big part of that. And it reads, at the start of the status phase, place or move a Creuss wormhole token. That's these 2 tokens here. You'll notice they match the alpha and beta symbols from the other tiles, and they link to those different hexes. So move a Creuss wormhole token into either a system that contains a planet you control or a non-home system that does not contain another player's ship. So that's quite a lot of possibilities. Most hexes on the board that are basically empty of enemy ships. The other technology is dimensional splicer. At the start of a space combat in a system that contains a wormhole and 1 or more of your ships, you may produce 1 hit and assign it to one of your opponent's ships. So yeah, let's take a look at that. Yeah, so let's say that you activate, you're the blue player here with this dreadnought, you activate a system with your opponent's ships in it and you fly in. When space combat happens, you can, because this system has a wormhole in it and one of your ships in it, you can do 1 hit and you get to pick where it goes. This is quite unusual in this game. Usually your opponent chooses where the hits are gonna land. So like if you decided that you wanted to do this, you could hit this cruiser and completely take it out of the game. Alternatively, what you could do is you could hit a ship with sustained damage like a dreadnought, and then that would get turned up. Something I like to do is then throw a direct hit card down when doing that, and then the ship is completely removed, turning the tide of battle in a big way. It's a bit of a dick move, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, there you go. That's what the dimensional splicer is for. It's to apply your own damage to your opponent's ships at the start of combat, which is really, really powerful. Alright, so that's how the Creuss work. So these tokens are pretty important for moving around as these guys and getting the most out of them. One thing I will say about these guys, and why I think they're one of the hardest races to play as, is that it all really depends on how the galaxy is laid out. If you have some of the wormhole hexes in your hand, it makes a huge difference for you. If you're playing an aggressive game and you get 2 hexes with the same wormhole token on them, that is a much more advantageous position to be in at the start of the game, at game setup, than it would be if you didn't get anything with wormholes. That's happened to me in the game that I played with these, and I've seen it happen before, where if you don't get the right hexes in your hand when creating the galaxy, it can be a really big deal, and it can really screw you over. That's why these tokens are pretty important. You're going to want that wormhole generator in order to mitigate that, if that doesn't happen, to give you any chance of having that mobility that the ghosts thrive on. Likewise, using your flagship as another conduit to travel around with is really important for them as well. The ghosts don't have a lot of great like combat powers and stuff like that, and they start with only 1 technology, which is also about mobility. So getting technology objectives is going to be a little trickier than it is for other races. So just be aware that you're kind of on the back foot at the start of the game. Starting in a place that's off the board is a nice defensive thing. It kind of means that if someone wants to really take your home system, if you're in the lead, they've got to go through an extra hex, an extra bit of distance that you have free movement between, really, along the way. So you can defend yourself. It's just getting into the lead is the tricky part. I've actually never seen Ghosts win in TI4. I think they're one of the toughest ones to get there with, and there's a lot of luck involved in that opening hand and creating the galaxy and being able to place wormholes near your neighbors so you can move in, intimidate them, make friends. They're a very negotiation heavy race as well. You're going to need to make friends in order to get an advantage as these guys. I don't mean to scare people off. I mean, I think they're a really fun race, at least on paper, and this whole thing about the home system is really fun. And getting lots of networks going with your flagship and your tokens and your wormholes. It can mean you can zip around the whole board in lightning quick time, way faster than anybody else. Take those special systems that are to do with objectives if you have to. So there you go. That is the Ghosts of Creuss. They are definitely one of the more complicated and difficult races to use in TI4. See it as a challenge. Do your best, have some fun with it, and we hope you come back and see some more videos here. Thank you very much.